Hey everybody, it's Sauce. A few of you have asked me recently what I typically eat on my backpacking trips, and since I'm leaving for the Grand Canyon soon, I thought I'd take that opportunity to show you what I typically shop for on my average resupply on trail. I'm packing about 4 days of food for this trip specifically, but it'll give you a good idea of what I typically eat when I'm backpacking. I'm also kind of living in luxury because I could go to different stores if I wanted. I even got to go on a Trader Joe's run, which is kind of my favorite. And so I have a few luxury items in this lineup, but you'll still get the general idea of what I typically pack, even if I'm only resupplying from, say, a Dollar General in a dinky trail town. I'm also going to be attempting to cold soak for the first time, so you'll see that everything I'm doing here is things that I can make without a stove, but you could also have some of them heated and it would be probably more tasty. I'll also show you a few examples of other dinners I typically make when I do have a stove. I typically try to avoid taking my stove out for lunch anyway, so that is going to kind of be the same as usual. With all that out of the way, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm bringing for 4 days in the Grand Canyon. Alright, so here is my full layout of food that I am planning to bring to the Grand Canyon. Basically, this is how I always lay it out, just to make sure that I have all the right food for the amount of time I'll be out. I usually do it in a line by the day. The days go as like vertical columns, essentially. So to start off, this is essentially my breakfast row. For each day, I have an instant coffee packet. Right now, like I said, I'm living in luxury with the Trader Joe's, and then I also usually pack electrolytes for each day, and that's what you see with the little Propel packets. Breakfast varies, but a lot of times I just eat some sort of pretty dense bar. Right now, I found these protein cookies at Sierra, so I'm gonna be trying those out, and I'm excited to see. Hopefully I like them. I have extras that I'll test before I go just to make sure. And then that's pretty much my breakfast. I don't eat super heavy in the morning, but I do snack throughout the morning. So then that's where we move into these snack rows. These are, again, some bars that I found at Sierra that were on sale. So I believe they're peanut butter and jelly, some sort of granola bar. I just basically pack easy to eat bars to eat before lunch, in between my breakfast and lunch. And then some honey stinger waffles, again on sale at Sierra, so I'm kind of living in luxury with this resupply. But sometimes I do stuff like Nature Valley granola bars or fig bars, just really any kind of bar that I can still stomach at this point and eat quickly while I'm walking. Moving on to lunch. I typically like to make sure that my lunch doesn't have to be cooked, so I don't have to deal with all of that in the middle of the day. And so for the Grand Canyon specifically, I'm bringing tortillas, so wraps, and I'm bringing string cheeses. I find that those keep a little bit better than the block cheese when you're out in the heat, and I'm a little bit nervous even about the string cheese in the Grand Canyon, but we'll see. Hopefully it turns out okay. And I'll just be making wraps with cheese and pepperoni. I might pick up some spinach right before I leave to throw on there as well, and then probably some deli condiments. That'll be my lunches. And then I have a post-lunch snack. These Bobo's bars were on sale at Sierra, which I am pretty stoked about. I really like Bobo's bars. They're nice and dense and pretty good for you rather than some of the other bar alternatives, and that'll hold me over hopefully until dinner, since I don't expect to be super ravenously hungry on this hike. And that brings me to dinner. Since I'm cold soaking, I have all stuff that is cold soak compatible, which is mashed potatoes and ramen and tuna. We'll see how that goes, but obviously you could also have a stove with these. And then along this column are just snacks that I plan to munch on throughout the 4 days. I have these gummy worms, which I'm really excited to have as a dessert. And then I have these dried mangoes from Trader Joe's, which if you've never tried, they are delicious and a great way to get some semblance of nutrition while you're on trail. And then I found these cheese packs as well, and I like to kind of do dried cheese occasionally just to get some extra protein. I think it's like a nice substitute instead of just doing chips. But that being said, I do have some chips that I'll be bringing. I don't know if I'm going to bring them on the actual backpacking trip or just eat them while I'm car camping. But yeah, this is kind of my surplus that I'll be bringing in the car with me. I am bringing a few meals for car camping, and you'll see these here, this macaroni and this pastaroni. I think it's like Parmesan cheese noodles. They're really good with the tuna packets. And since I'll have a stove in the car, I am bringing that. I couldn't finish this video without mentioning one of my favorite cold soak lunches, and that's instant rice, dehydrated refried beans in taco seasoning. It's super easy and delicious and has that nice rice and bean combination to give you some protein and super filling as well. But I couldn't find dehydrated refried beans anywhere, so I'm not doing it for this trip. This was just an example resupply. If I had 5 days or 6 days, it would look pretty much the same, maybe with a little more variety. I try not to buy more than what I need, especially when I'm on through hikes. So sometimes I'll try and swap bars with other hikers if I can, or buy a couple different packs of bars and kind of trade them out throughout the different days. But basically, as I get more hiker hungry, I also just add more snacks. The meals themselves don't change a ton, but I will add some bulk maybe to my dinners. If I typically have, one ramen for dinner, a lot of times on through hikes that ends up being 2, or a ramen with some mashed potatoes to make a ramen bomb. But yeah, basically just adding more and more snacks. The hungrier I get, the further I go into a through hike. But since this is for a backpacking trip where I won't have that built up hiker hunger, I'm not eating quite as much as I might on a through hike. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and maybe drop me your favorite backpacking meal and we can all kind of crowdsource some new ideas. So much for watching, and please subscribe for more backpacking content if that's what you're into.